We have to be better at this. So it's not race or rights or whose resource it is.
Tonight, officials are investigating after dozens of caribou with unborn calves were slaughtered in a northern Manitoba provincial park.
Will they be welcomed in this space? If they are in crisis, will they allow them into the building?
And a new cultural space in Montreal has some questioning the issue of wealth disparity between the public and the Inuit. Good evening, I'm Chris Sanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew says the hunters involved in a recent slaughter of dozens of caribou carrying unborn calves have no right to hunt in the province and will be held accountable. The RCMP and Manitoba conservation officers are investigating the incident that happened in the Newellton Provincial Park near the border of Nunavut. The owner of the hunting lodges in the park was checking his property from air on April 11th. He was able to see several people who had broken into his lodges. Dozens of caribou carcasses could also be seen, most of them females who were still carrying calves. The Manitoba Wildlife Federation says this is a significant waste of food, and whoever broke into the property used furniture for firewood and smashed windows. This specific herd has declined from almost 500,000 in 1994 to now just 253,000 in 2022. And the MWF says this incident is not sustainable for the caribou there.
We have to be better at this. So it's not race or rights or whose resource it is. It's a shared resource with all Manitobans, and there's some hard discussions that need to take place. We need leadership. So we need government to be leaders. We need community leaders. We need licensed hunters. We need to all be at the table, lodge and outfitters. Everybody's going to be at the table. We have to all recognize that this cannot continue to happen if we want to have caribou, moose, and other wildlife that we all cherish. So we just got to be better as a society.
In a statement to APTN News, Premier Wab Kinew said, "I have spoken to people directly who live in this part of the province and who live off the land. So let me say this unequivocally. Anybody who participated in this has no respect for animals, has no right to be able to hunt in this province, and will be pursued and held accountable to the fullest extent of the law." The RCMP is investigating the break and enter of the cabins. Manitoba conservation officers are also looking for the hunters who killed the caribou cows and calves. The MWF says they believe the hunters involved may be from nearby First Nations. They believe they traveled by snowmobile and hunted in the area for up to 2 months before departing, and say the nearest settlement to the lodges is about 120 kilometers away. The RCMP says they are careful in their investigation and are trying to distinguish between hunters who were involved in the vandalism and hunters who were there to practice their treaty right to hunt. The RCMP are also asking the public to not pass judgment until their investigation is complete. You can read more about this story by going to aptnnews.ca. A cultural space in Montreal named the Sanax Centre opened last Friday in Montreal. The centre celebrates Inuit culture through artwork and displays. But as APTN Savannah Craig reports, some say this space represents wealth disparity, as many Inuit experiencing homelessness sleep on the streets or in a shelter just a few blocks away from the multi-million-dollar centre.
A building has just been opened to the public near Cabot Square, which is an area frequented by many homeless Indigenous people. It's not a condo, it's the Sanax Center, which is a community and cultural space. It includes a cafe, theater, art installation, library, and the largest collection of Indigenous books. The Sanax Center was named after a well-known novel of the same title, written by Mitsiariuk Napaluk, which was loosely set around the 1950s. The book looked at the Inuit of Kungiksujuak and their initial contacts with Halunat, known in English as white people.
Sanak means home, and if those that are on the streets see Sanak, will they be welcomed in this space? If they are in crisis, will they allow them into the building?
Naguset is the executive director of the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal.
Take a look behind you about what they're creating. This is a multi-million-dollar condo.
She said this to APTN News back in 2021 when she was frustrated about the amount of condos popping up in the area. She's still frustrated, but now takes issue with how buildings in Cabot Square are being used. While Naguset appreciates the celebration of Inuit culture, she's concerned there's not enough focus on providing services to the unhoused Inuit near Cabot Square.
When they were building the condos and Sanax, because they're all in all the same thing, there was a woman named Elizabeth Putaguk, and she died. She died because she had nowhere safe to stay, and she died.
She says Indigenous-led organizations near Cabot Square weren't involved in the decision-making process of the Sanax Center by the City of Montreal. Aliyah Hassan Cornal is the city councillor for the City of Montreal in charge of reconciliation with Indigenous people. She says Inuit-led organizations were involved, but these organizations are located outside of Cabot Square.
When we started thinking about how this center could be and what meaning it could have, for sure we wanted to include the Indigenous community, especially Inuit.
Tina Pasukti is the executive director for the Southern Quebec Inuit Association.
Right beside the Cabot Square, you have Sanax Center that has a very different image of Inuit that is really showcasing Inuit culture.
She says this is a turning point for positive representation of Inuit in Montreal. While the Sanax Center doesn't provide housing, Pasukti says it is a space for all.
In the center, instead of hiring security guards, they're working with the downtown YMCA to do more of cohabitation and more working with the population and speaking to them about tolerance and cohabitating so that we can have better outcomes.
While some see this as a step forward for positive representation for Inuit in Montreal, others want more for Cabot Square.
You have people that are on the streets, people that actually are from the Inuit community, and you've got to pass them to get into a multi-million-dollar community center. I think that needs to change.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
Over to the prairies now, where Métis Nation Saskatchewan is preparing for their election. All positions are open with both new and returning candidates on the campaign trail. APTN video journalist Rachel May brings us the details.
4 executive and 12 regional director positions are up for election. There are 5 candidates running for president. Incumbent Glenn McCallum was first elected in 2012 as director for Northern Region 3. He was elected president in 2017. Nash Chalifo is also running. He ran for the Green Party of Canada in the 2021 federal election and as an independent in the 2024 provincial election. Kevin Henry works as a community health coordinator for the BC Métis Federation. He also worked with the MNS Western Region 2 on fighting COVID. Bonnie Marwood served as the patient health advocate for MNS for 3 years. Her contract ended March 31st, 2025, and she chose to run for president. Lisa McCallum was elected in 2017 and 2021 as secretary for MNS and is now running for president. 3 candidates are running for vice president. Incumbent Michelle Leclerc was a regional director for Northern Region 1 before she was elected vice president in 2021. She is a lawyer and holds a certificate in human resource management. Karen Larocque is CEO of the Provincial Métis Women's Organization, a knowledge keeper at Morningstar Lodge, and CEO of Regina Métis Sports. She's also a former regional director for Western Region 3. Jason McKay, also known as the Wandering Métis, is running for vice president. He worked at MNS for 6 years as Director of Sports, Language and Culture, and Education. 5 candidates are running for secretary. Becky Belanger is in the race. She's married to Buckley Belanger, who was just elected MP for Desnethi, Mississippi, Churchill River. Marlene Hansen is president of Métis Local number 62. She currently works in mental health and addictions. Autumn Lang LaRose served as provincial Métis Youth Council president and minister of youth beginning in 2021. Johnny Melanchuk calls himself a Métis ombudsman with 30 years of experience advocating for people. Gerald Morin is a Métis lawyer and former president of MNS. He was the first president of MNS, serving from 1992 to 1995. 5 candidates are in the running for treasurer. Jeremy Denemy is an entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience managing large accounts. Myra Malbof brings 25 years of financial management, 15 years of government, and 13 years as a business owner. Dale McCauley, former mayor of Cumberland House, says financial accountability is his priority. Beth Westfall, a farmer in the southeast of Saskatchewan, wants finances reported in a timely manner. Patricia Young has a background in government and financial management, focused on accountability. All 12 regional positions have multiple candidates, except Northern Region 1, where Laura Burnoff is running unopposed. The full list of regional and executive candidates, plus voting locations, is available at mnselections.ca. Métis Nation Saskatchewan citizens can vote in advance polls May 17th, with Election Day on May 24th. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
We have more news coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to BC now, where the hunt is on to find the owners of 2 pit bulls that allegedly attacked a man. APTN Sina House has this story, but a warning: some of the images and content in this story are disturbing.
This is where I was bleeding, and that's where the dry blood is still on the grass here.
It all started on the morning of Sunday, May the 11th, Mother's Day, when 56-year-old David Peter, who lives nearby on the Stahelas First Nation, went out for his daily 6-kilometer walk. He says upon nearly finishing his walk, he passed by a gray Ford 4-door truck parked in this pullout beside the Hemlock Valley Road, and that's when he saw a middle-aged couple and their 2 pit bull dogs. He says he wasn't alarmed at first, but then he noticed the dogs weren't on a leash and were coming for David aggressively.
I was walking backwards away from the dog, and the black dog was lunging at me, and then he got me on the forearm, and then after he was biting away at my forearm, he tried to get at my face, and I was using my arms to try to protect my face and other areas of my body, and when he couldn't get to my face, he bit into my arm right here, and he was just, his jaw and his teeth were locked right into my arm.
David says while the black dog was attacking his left arm, the brown pit bull was attacking his right arm at the same time. The owners tried to retrieve their dogs, but the dogs did not respond. The attack took place right here in the bushes beside the road. The vicious attack lasted for 5 minutes, and then finally they released David from their grip.
As soon as the owners got up the hill, and I seen that they were about 4 or 5 feet from their truck, and I phoned 911 right away. And
luckily, David had cell service, and the operator kept him on the phone for 33 minutes, awaiting the ambulance. But he says he was close to blacking out and in severe pain, bleeding profusely. He says he also sent a Facebook message to family that he needed help.
I messaged them, and they came, but they had a hard time to find me.
The attack left David with a mangled left arm that required over 50 stitches, visible teeth punctures, scratches, and bruises. The attack happened so fast, and there were no other witnesses, but he shared with us what he remembered.
They were really mean-looking dogs, and the truck was a older gray truck. I think it was a Ford. The lady had blondish white hair. I think they were either in their 50s or 60s, the couple. And they got their dog in a vehicle, and I was right here on 911. They turned their truck around and they came back down the hill, and they drove by me. The guy, the man, didn't say anything, and the lady said, "I'm so sorry." And she said that when they left. She said, "I'm so sorry." And then I drove by and the lady said, "I'm so sorry, but they left me laying here."
The brutality of the attack has shaken the community, and the emotional toll is also evident. His friends and family came to do a smudge with him and sing an honor song for his healing. Tim Felix is a counselor for the Stahelis First Nation. Have the police been notified?
They have. There's a file open, vague description, and the leadership table, administration, organization thought right away we better do a media release, because with the amount of information the police had, we didn't think that justice would prevail because they had so little information. So we thought putting this out into the media release would hopefully help identify the culprits.
David Peter is a father, grandfather, and now great-grandfather to a 9-week-old baby boy. And despite all he's been through, he's grateful it didn't happen to anyone else.
I rather that happen to me than a child or an elderly person. I hope that the owners of dogs get the message to keep their dogs on a leash. I really hope that you find it to be able to turn yourself in and to take accountable for what those dogs did to me.
We reached out to Agassiz RCMP but did not hear back for an interview. David Peter has filed a police report. If you know who the owners are of these 2 pit bulls, please contact the RCMP in Agassiz. Tina House, APTN National News, Stahelis First Nation.
Come back, we'll tell you about a new event in Winnipeg that is helping the local Indigenous economy. Thanks for staying with us. Time now for our photo of the day. MJ Kretchen shared this idyllic view. MJ calls this their happy place, and we can see why. Thanks, MJ, for the photo, and please keep those photos coming in. Send us your springtime photos to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east, Charlottetown 23 in sun, Halifax 26 in sun. Cartwright 7, Happy Valley Goose Bay 9. Quebec City 25, Montreal rain in 27. Peterborough 24, Sarnia 24. Showers in Timmins at 24, Thunder Bay showers there as well at 14. Churchill 3, Thompson 5. Winnipeg 24, Brandon 15. Swift Current 15, Yorkton 7. 4 in Stony Rapids, Buffalo Narrows 7 there. Showers in Fort McMurray at 14, Peace River partly cloudy and 18. 13 in Lethbridge, Medicine Hat rain and 18. 20 in Penticton, Campbell River 13. Fort Nelson 18, Smithers 12. 10 in Whitehorse, Watson Lake 11. 4 in Wrigley, Norman Wells 6. -3 in Colville Lake, Fort McPherson 1. -4 in Chesterfield, Whale Cove -4. And the Iqaluit -4, Arctic Bay -9. The 28th annual Vision Quest is taking place in Winnipeg this week. The conference brings together thousands of people to inspire one another. It's also a place to show off your crafts and small businesses. That's where TR Wheatley went shopping earlier today.
Indigenous business folks coming together in one space, vendor after vendor, each with its own little niche.
These are good for smokeless smudge.
Sprays, lip balms, lotions, and soaps, all made by Laxul band member Francesca Amin.
So I started Sweetgrass Soap in 2021. I actually started in my kitchen. I started formulating soaps for my son, actually, because he had cradle cap, eczema, always had skin problems, and I found that most of the big brands in stores, well-known big brands, had too many sulfates, parabens, which penetrate skin, make skin inflamed, and cause these kind of dry skin irritation stuff. So I decided to look into homemade soap. My best seller is the Deadly Anti. This is the one I'm most well known for. It smells amazing. But yeah, give it a try. Yeah.
Amin's business is based out of Langley, British Columbia. She says many Indigenous-owned stores across the country carry her products.
So my website is sweetgrasssoap.com. You can place an order online.
Family game night res style is also an option. There are 16 life-sized games the Smoke Sisters from Dakota Plains First Nation created through their business, Ninawaste. The idea brings games like Hoodis, Scrabble, Yardsie, and more to your backyard party. With just 1 year in business, Tana Smoke says they've already learned a lot.
Definitely a positive going in is that we do work full-time outside of our business, and I'm an accountant of 13 years, rails and sales and marketing going on 6, so that definitely helped us in getting our business started.
Rael Smoke says they are already planning to expand with hopes of adding 5 new games a year.
So we've always been like a big gathering gaming family. Every time we get together, we always play a game with the kids and the family. So that's kind of where we stand it on games first.
This shirt vendor was also quite popular with patrons coming and going. Chris Thompson's business Warnge started in his basement. He says his family are jokesters and they just started a play on words and logos already out there.
Yeah, we have a lot of deadly items, Deadly Anti, Deadly Cookum, just Deadly. We're starting to get more into more like traditional looking designs, female designs, floral designs. Yeah, our website is www.warnge.com, WARNGE.
With a silk on top of it, and then they just have the ribbons. And then we can make them in any colors that you need to, right?
And what's an Indigenous craft market without the traditional items? Roberta Bear and Tika's Boutique have been a staple at the Forks in Winnipeg for over 2 decades.
The website is, we have tikasboutique.com, and you can find us on Facebook, what else, Instagram.
Becoming a place to help those just starting out.
We actually, with all of our stores, we actually deal with probably 100 to 200 different crafters on a yearly basis that drop off little pieces, you know, where it helps support their household.
And supporting one another being one of the original goals of what the visionaries of Vision Quest set out to do all those years ago. TR Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Cool story. And that's your APTN National Newscast for this evening. From HQ in downtown Winnipeg, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Excellent.